Alright, your boy Cypher from Siphon TCG. I'm gonna slowly adjust my headset. And we're back on No Till. It's been a while since I've made a tier list, just because obviously, even though most of them are widely understood to be opinions, the fact that some people take it as law and then pretend you don't know what you're talking about just because you might have been slightly wrong on one thing or another. Everyone that put Icelander in like C tier, yeah, everyone's smoking their pack. And so it's actually maybe not really want to make a tier list, but I think that the way I make my tier list and the way I have mine defined, I think it more encapsulates my thoughts of it. Because the difference, like when someone says something's S or something's C, what the majority of people think that, oh, S just means deck's unbeatable, wins every tournament, blah blah blah, and C tier is unplayable, can't win a thing, right? I think where people get that misunderstood is that's generally not what people mean when they mean C tier. Unless they literally state that like they're playing a video, unless they literally state that, but I've rarely found that to be the case. So that's why I have my tier list a little bit more thought out. I have a few categories. If you guys have been here a while, you guys understand these categories. We have top decks. These are the decks that are going to get most of the win shares. You should expect to face a lot of these in your tournaments going into Nat season. Top 8. These are decks that can be expected to top 8 pretty consistently. Maybe liking a little bit to take on one of the decks that's in the top. May not have as many wins as the ones in the top, but definitely will get its fair share of top 8s and some wins. Mid AF, it sounds like it is. Like, these decks are like fine. They're cool. You want to bring them. That's fine. If you're really good at them, you'll do good. If you're not, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. OTP or One Trick Ponies. These are decks I only suggest you bring if you are a specialist on that hero. You do not bring this kind of hero unless you have, I'd say, with from not right now from recording to when national starts, I think like 10 days, and then the first national starts. If you can't get like 100 games in of like a certain hero against like the meta decks, I just would not bring it. Next and lastly, we have Side Event Gang. If you bring this, you're to have a good time and then hit those side events and farm some prize wall tickets. And I guess technically lastly we have the Living Legends, but obviously they're not going to be technically a part of this tier list. I will note that a Prism Awakener of Soul is not on here. We're just going to use this Prism for it. I just wanted to have it right there for the beginning. So let's start with what heroes do I want to define all these tiers with. So when it goes to one of the top decks, obviously the first deck that sticks out is Icelander as a top deck. The meta is slowly shaping around this hero, and the reason why is just because it's just winning. Now, you have both sides being divided. You have people saying, of course Icelander is winning. It was only brought down by this deck and this deck. Or people just stop playing it. Of course it's always been good. Then you have the other side that goes like, yeah, how is Icelander winning again? Who let this happen? And I'll be completely honest, guys. I don't have the answer. I don't have the answer. You see, it's hard. It's hard, guys. It's hard. So most people would have said the thing bringing down Icelander in the previous meta would have been Lexi, right? And Lexi got nerfed. It's cool. Icelander looking good. But then a lot of changes. Oldhim left, which is, if you ask both sides thought they were favored. Realistically, you both just suck and hate both of you. But, like, realistically, the meta hasn't changed. In fact, Dromai got more popular, which is, for the average player, a hard matchup for Icelander. Now, I think if you're a top-tier Icelander, I think you don't actually mind the matchup. But if you're anything but, like, the top, like, 2% of Icelander, I don't think you really want to see a lot of Dromai. There's going to be a lot of Dromai. I almost wanted to make a video just talking about the Icelander rise and why it's winning. I just could not find out why. Because a lot of players that you see are playing it right now were playing it before. And have played it in the past. And they weren't winning. Now, people are acting like it's been like a year since Icelander's been good. I'm just like, no, Icelander was being played like 4 months ago. Like, Actually, 3 months ago, actually. I remember, like, the Calling Auckland, there was a couple Icelandic players. Heck, Liam from We Make Best was playing at the Pro Tour. There was multiple Icelandic players at the Pro Tour. People just was like, yeah, people just forgot. The thing is, Wizards never really been super popular, just because it's how hard it is to play and how fragile it can be. It was just when Icelander was super dominant, it was just taking down all the tournaments, and that's why people were thinking it wasn't that big of a meta share. That's what people think. But tangent aside, I think Icelander is if you don't want to call it the deck to beat, I think it's the second deck to beat. I'll go ahead and just mix that in with what I think the other possible deck to beat is. Is Lexi. Obviously, everyone's going to complain about Ice, but remind you, like, Lexi has only started revamping how much Ice she's played. There was a while where she just stopped playing Ice, and people were still complaining about Ice Heroes. Just Odom took out the Ice, Lexi took out the Ice. Ice Center wasn't played, but for some reason, Ice Heroes, just let them cook, guys. Just let them cook. But I think Ice Center and Lexi are clearly defining the format right now. I think if you are bringing any deck, including one of these decks, you need to have these two matchups in mind because, especially when it comes to day 2 in the later rounds, you're going to be facing this by a good pilot at some point. I doubt you can just gem roulette your way into just dodging these two matchups throughout the most of the day. If you do, good for you. Hopefully you do good. But for the average player who, didn't, just become the GOAT after they woke up and didn't face anyone else, you're going to need a plan for both of these. If not one, if not both, at least try to have a very favorable matchup in the one. But obviously, it's hard because a lot of times when you're doing stuff like that, you're conceding other matchups, and depending on the power level and the representation of those matchups, it could hurt you a lot. But when it comes to a deck that I think is just like super mid, like the deck's like fine, deck's super fine. Honestly, I think of Dash. And those, no, I am going to have a video coming out talking about Dash very soon. And my thoughts on the hero, stay tuned for that. But Dash right now, I think is probably the most average hero in the format. And obviously, some of it's on the card pool. It does get a slight boost. So like if there was like an S A B C, it'd be like top of B, lower part of A. Just because it has the ability to play 2 different game plans within the same deck, it's able to do the things similar to what Prism used to do. And by what Prism used to do, Prism used to play either Herald game plan or Aura game plan, all within the same shell, and didn't have to sacrifice so much of the deck. Unlike what current Prism has to do. Similar to Dash. Now, Dash will have to sideboard a few things here and there, but even still, you don't have to side in all the purifiers if you're hybrid. Obviously, it's just much more preferred, but for some reason, like the baseline of how your deck is just can't fit purifiers in the 80. You can still just rock the Chamber Pistol and just have a really terrible hammer. You can just do that, and you can still win games. Dash blocks very, very well. It's one of the up things of Dash. But also, decks like Icelander does not want to see a boost Dash. That's the thing about like these slower decks. These decks want to slow the game down. These decks want people playing at their speed. Dash is like, absolutely not. We're going to go forward. Someone's going to die here. Probably you, but someone's going to die here. We're just here to figure out if it is actually you. That's all that is. But I think Dash, you might find a few peeking in the top 8. We know for a fact there will be Dashes that win because there's a few things guaranteed in this world: death, taxes, and Dash Mega Calling. And this will probably be Dash winning like, I don't know how many nationals are going on. Let's just say there's like 200 nationals, just a number. Like Dash will probably win like 40 of them. Maybe probably less than that, but like Dash just has the ability just to get there, even when the card pool says it shouldn't. Even when the meta says, yeah, it makes no sense for you to win, Dash still just wins. It's kind of like Icelander. You're just like, how are you just winning? Dash is just like, dude, I don't know. I'm just as surprised as you are. But yeah, that's Dash. Side event gang. Yo, you guys know. Arachne. Now, if you were to only face Lexi throughout the whole entire event, dude, get the fuck in there. But if any of your other rounds are not Lexi, and we're gonna go to here. Oh, 2-year rounds were not Lexi. Oh, 3-year rounds were not. 4-year rounds, like, oh Jesus Christ! Now we're oh dude, now we're just down all the way here. It's unfortunate. Arachne is an interesting hero as Arachne is, just lacks the fundamental power to beat most of the decks. It has a fine Lexi matchup, but unfortunately the Dromai matchup is a nightmare. I really would not want to see an Iyslander as a Arachne. You probably don't mind seeing a dash, but the dash can just go controlling you and beat you that way. Bravo, probably not that good either. It's just like, what deck besides Lexia as one of the top decks are you really just wanting to see consistently? Prism, maybe, but Prism's not one of the top decks. I don't know. Arachne, one day you will be in the sun, but today you are. I don't know where that analogy was going, but let me cook. So let's actually move to the one-trick pony category, and this is a deck that I am very familiar with, Kano. I think Kano belongs to the one-trick category, and I think you probably need, just like at baseline, again, like 100 plus games within this very small period of time, if you're going to pick up Kano. The other issue with picking up Kano is you're just unfortunately playing the worst wizard. As a Kano fellatio enthusiast, what? I didn't say anything. As a Kano player, I would love to have a reason to play Kano, but what angle are you wanting to play Kano over Iyslander unless you specifically, correctly, wanted to see the Lexis? That's it. If you just want to try to run the Lexi Gauntlet, you can bring Kano. The moment you don't run the Lexi Gauntlet, you're just playing the worst wizard. Now, you might have a higher ceiling than Iyslander, but your floor is much worse. And the big advantage that Iyslander has is that, like, most of the blues are good. Like, your good blue in Kano is like Gaze, your potions. And like Iofidia if you play Iofidia. Yeah, you can't look at me and be like, haha, blue prognosticates where it's at. And like people might find parallels. What about blue frosting? It's not good. Well, blue frosting actually creates a frostbite, enables waning moon, and does 1 damage. So like you can actually equate it to like 4 points of damage. Frostbite, you can call it 3. So the frostbite can actually translate into 7 points of value. Where blue prognosticate is it's a blue that activates Kano or pitches to Crucible in a spell. That's about it. I really wish there was a reason to play Kano over Iyslander. It's just the meta that you would need to have a reason to play Kano over Iyslander, in my opinion, just will never happen. Especially when there's a lot of really good Kano players out there that are just chomping at the bit. I think a meta where Kano's even here is very dangerous. If Kanos can consistently top 8, that meta is probably bad. And I'm saying this as a Kano player. As much as I would want that meta, if I was any other player besides the Kano player, I wouldn't want to play that. And then running into Kano mirrors, yeah, no thanks. So let's actually go to top 8. What deck do I think will top 8 a lot? Even though I think a lot of players are bad at this hero, there's also a lot of specialists that are good, is Dromai. I think Dromai is almost the hero that can pop into this if you just want to make this hero a tier a little bit even. But I think just because of the disgusting amount of bad players playing it, and some just unfavorable matchups, I think there's a lot of reasons to not want to bring Dromai. Especially with the uptick in decks like Bravo. Now, that's a matchup similar that like both sides think they're favored, and I think both sides should just, just play Kano. But obviously with the uptick of Fi and Katsu, it's just like, there is a target on Dromai's back. There's a target on all these heroes' backs up here. But like, Dromai is probably one of the more exploitable ones. Now, if you're on the Empress Redline build, I do think that target is harder to exploit but there is still ways to exploit it. I also think, again, unless you're one of the top percentile of Dromais, do you really want to see an Iyslander for like a mid-level Dromai? And that Icelander's even slightly competent and knows how to play a matchup? Like, no. You don't want to see that. You'll just be thinking you're winning 90% of the matchups, and then all of a sudden your life total will be 0, and you're like, wait, I lost. And Icelander will be like, yeah, you lost like 20 turns ago. You just didn't know it. But yeah, I think Dromai's a solid pick. I think is very close to just being up here. But I think there's just a few things that would make me reserved about wanting to bring that kind of deck. Alright, so let's start filling out. So another one I think is unfortunately sad of gang is Riptide. I don't know what angle you'd want to bring Riptide. Like what is the reason besides flavor? And this is a popular thing I always ask. Besides flavor, why would you want to bring Riptide? Even if you somehow broke Riptide, you made the best Riptide deck ever. I'm just like, okay, what is it really accomplishing? What is it really giving you? Is it giving you some type of edge that another deck realistically just could not have given? I doubt that. I don't know what metagame Riptide would thrive in, but it's just definitely not this one. I know that. It's definitely not this one. Alright, going into another deck that I think will have a lot of top 8s. And you guys know how much I love smoking that Guardian pack. I do think enough good players are just pivoting to Bravo, and they're playing Bravo kind of Odom-esque, where he is just naturally the control deck and the very slow deck. And I think Bravo actually will get a good amount of wins. I think this will be the first meta besides probably, I wasn't around at the time, but probably Welcome to Wraith meta where Bravo's actually a big player. It's just, we've seen what Odom did. Odom literally became Bravo 2.0. Like, we were just like, alright, let's take their Bravo shell and then decide like some better equipment and like a few other cards. So we know this Guardian shell that Bravo's playing right now is good. If Odom was willing to pivot off of ice and do it. We've seen in Blitz this shell be good. And I think people are right at the moment having a really good Lexi matchup right now. I don't know how the new builds are looking into Dromai. I assume the threat's probably similar. The Iyslander matchup is Iyslander favored, but there's obviously avenues that the Bravo can win if they're able to put enough pressure on the Iyslander and not make the game go too long. They want the game to go very short. And then as you go down the list, Bravo is just solid. I think Bravo has probably been one of the most fair and balanced heroes since his inception. It's just the fact that that's the problem. He's been a fair hero. He doesn't do anything inherently broken more than like 2 or 3 times in a match. Where like all these other decks are like constantly doing broken stuff. Like, literally constantly. But right now, I think Bravo is just, again, well positioned. Now, like, I do think there will probably be a big gap between these 3 decks win shares and this one. But I do think this is probably the 4th best one. Now, there obviously could be a lot of people that are going to Bravo that we just don't know about. Like, me personally, I didn't know Pablo Ventura was a Bravo stan. I didn't know he enjoyed Bravo. I always saw him just, what's the best deck in the room kind of guy. But he went on multiple podcasts and says, yeah, I've always enjoyed Bravo, and now I get to play Bravo. And it's just like, oh, okay. Well, there you go. You can have really good players like that playing Bravo, playing a style that they're very, very comfortable with. So, we'll see. Fi. Where would I put Fi? Fi is kind of like, I want to say he's mid, but because of there's going to be an uptick in Dromai, I think he could probably slide in the top 8. I'm going to play it safe and put him in mid. He kind of like Dash is like on the edge. If there was like a weird in-between tier between these two, he would fit there perfectly. And I think Katsu is probably in the same vein. That they're very, really solid. They have a pretty good matchup spread. It is they lack a fundamental amount of power or consistency that all these other decks have. So for like Katsu, for example, Katsu has like the power and utility, but not the consistency. Fi doesn't have any of the utility. And I do think his power, outside of his really broken turns, has always been a little bit overrated. People always remember like the Art of War turns and the Spreading Flames turns, but they don't remember the turns where he's just like 0 for 3, 0 for 3, swing weapon for 3, Phoenix Flame, pass. They don't remember those kind of turns that Fi would have. They're still good. They're solid. But like every turn wasn't double Art of War into like 7 of a kind, into like 14 lava bursts, into a literal nuke that would nuke your opponent as they were sitting in the seat. Those weren't every turn. I want people to remember that. That wasn't every single turn. It was just those were the memorable turns. Those were the turns that lasted in your brain. Same thing with Katsu. Like, everyone just thinks, oh my gosh, Katsu with this Bonds line just turns off my hero. But, alright, how many times, even with a onboard tutor that he starts with, how many times is he actually pulling off that line in a game? With a tutor, mind you. Yeah, both of these heroes are lacking 2 of the 3 things, and I think that is what, unfortunately, keeps them down from being top 8 consistently. Obviously, if you see them in the top 8, dude, don't be surprised. I just don't think they'll be as consistent as the heroes above. This is going to be Baby Prism, or the new Prism. I think only really good Prism players should be bringing Prism, if at all. I've heard lots of rumblings from my sources, my inner circles, that apparently there's been a few teams that have broke Prism. I would be really interested in seeing that, especially if they're not the Iris builds that we've been using. I know there's a few people that's been trying out Refractor. I tried out Refractor. I enjoyed it, but I was thinking I was probably lost in the sauce there. Maybe that's what they're bringing, or maybe it's Talishar. It's not Talishar Prism. I've seen a lot of Prisms lately on Talishar when I've actually been playing on Talishar or playing Pummel. I hope that's not the spice, because if your reason to Prism is because you're going to play Pummel, and I just hate you. I just want you to stop that now. But I look forward to seeing how people have broken Prism. I just don't think, unfortunately, that unless you're a specialist on Prism, you're not going to do too well, and you should just not bring it. Levia. So Levia is probably the weirdest hero. She was here for the longest time. Dusk Till Dawn came out. We thought, oh, dude, she'll be here. Then she was here, and now I think she might be here, teetering to here. To be honest, it's hard to talk about Levia. It's hard. You just see her card pool. You see her blocking equipment. And you're just like, how does this hero lose? And then we constantly see stream games of her just losing to herself, as she always has. I think Mansant said it best. I don't remember his quote exactly, but the quote was essentially, you're always going to bubble with Levia for 2 reasons. One game, well, because your opponent was just better than you. Sure. And you always lose the second game because you couldn't turn off Blood Debt. And obviously, it is more consistent than it was before to turn off Blood Debt. And we have really powerful tools like the new Levy Redeemed Blasphemous Demi Hero. I really thought it would be enough. Just like with Azalea, really thought it would just be enough. Azalea and Levia would just be here, and they would start rolling in this. That's just not a thing. And I do generally think these heroes are at a similar power level right now, where it's like, I definitely think you don't have to be a specialist to pick this up. You definitely don't have to. But your consistency is waning a little bit. Azalea obviously is hurt by Warmongers a lot. They have pivoted the ability to add some more attack action cards, but that just makes your average turns a little bit worse. I think you can definitely bring these heroes, and really good players will definitely have success. Just really rooting for Levi. Really hope Levi does well, man, with the Azalea, man. But both of these heroes are just not in the spot that we thought they would be. We were unfortunately wrong. Another hero that I was wrong about, I definitely think Boltyn is one of the top decks. With the Lumina Ascension number 2 being printed, allowing you to start with 7 energy potions and your Mega Sabers being able to be played from the sideboard. Your Mega Sabers are amazing, allowing you to swing for 17 for 0 resources with Go Again. On hit, you mill half your opponent's deck. I really think that has made Boltyn just an amazing hero. I also think the fact that for literally 1 resource, you can just draw 20 cards. I think that's like also like really amazing. And like you have the backup plan to where like on like the 3 of a card turns from like Lexi, for example, you can just activate your boots and you actually get your opponent disqualified from the game. And against Iyslander, what I actually pulled this off in a game. Whenever they try to give you a frostbite, for every frostbite they give you, they actually take 10 damage per frostbite they give you in the game. So it's actually really, really cool that she has to actually pivot a whole different way against you. And then like all these other heroes, just like you've been printed tools to fight among these heroes. They definitely just don't all have ways just to like ruin your day no matter what build you're playing. They also all of these heroes definitely don't just have a better aggro game plan than you, and combo will never be allowed to be good in this game. Yeah, your life definitely doesn't suck. So anyway, so back to reality, because none of that stuff actually happened. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I think Boltyn is probably mid, even though my heart really wants to put him down here. But I do think we've seen enough people do well. Actually, no, I think you have to be a one-trick pony. I think you actually have to be a one-trick. I, I, I don't think like. Let's just say tomorrow. One of your people at locals is preparing for nationals and they want to pick up Boltyn. I don't think them just playing in armies and a few test games afterward, I don't think they have enough time to be a competent Boltyn player. Even though the Boltyn playstyle isn't actually that hard, either one of the playstyles. I just think understanding your hero's play patterns versus others is extremely hard. There are times with both the aggro and the combo deck where you actively are not trying to do either. And I know that sounds very weird. There are times with the aggro version where you are playing like the most control/mid-range game possible. I'm talking about you are going block with a bunch of cards, literally swing a like a non-charge card, or like you're just blocking 2 every turn, not like and just charging a card, not even giving it go again to swing Raiden. There are times with the combo build where you'll block out and just keep passing. And you're going to try to fatigue the opponent. That's why there actually is the switch build in the combo version where you're actually siding into a shield. But knowing when those spots are going to occur and how to play those spots, hard. And there are times where those spots aren't actually even that powerful. They don't even guarantee a certain level of victory. They're just what you had to do. It's unfortunate. I really want Boltyn to be good. I just don't think it's right now. Maybe in next year, whenever the 3rd chapter of Monarch comes out, Boltyn will finally rise up and be up here. I just unfortunately think he's down here right now. Let's talk about the Rune Blades. I think both the Rune Blades are very mid, but with Viserai, I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I already know that people are going to be smoking my pack. Yeah, I think Viserai is one of the worst heroes in the game. with the printing of Warmongers and just the sole fact that it can be a generic blue block 3 and matchups I'm good in. You play Warmongers against Viscera unless they already have set up. What are they doing? Pitching 3 to go Rune Flash, and then Tunic, Rosetta. If we pick War, if we pick P, so we're doing Become the Arcanite to play or read the runes. Is that it? My turn again? Cool. Yes, Viscera still has those massive pop-off turns. Absolutely. But does Viscera actually have the time to do that? If you're not just drawing just the straight gas turn after turn, are we really competing with these 4 heroes? Maybe a good Viscera player is. Maybe. I don't personally see it. I'm so down to be wrong. I personally just don't see it. Briar on the hand, I can see ways where Briar can actually still spike tournaments. Obviously, can play through Warmongers a lot better. Their new setup with Shock Charmers and AB3 against Iyslander is interesting. I'm curious if that is going to be the norm going forward, and that's how they're going to combat the Iyslander rise. I think the Lexi matchup obviously got better with the Bullseye Bracing span, but it's still like not amazing. And like I said, I think you're fine against most of these decks. Obviously, if you look at a player like Nathaniel Crawford, like he's literally giving you the blueprint of how to be a good Briar player. Like just absorbing all the information he gets, and you can see time after time every event that he goes to, he's just putting on a show with Briar. And because you do have a certain amount of players that are able to do that, I think they can be mid. I don't think that only one trick should play Briar. Like, I think that you can hand a player the Briar deck, give them the game plan, and like some amount of game, just because of sheer power level of the deck, they're going to be able to do something. So that's why I think it can be mid. Dorinthia. So the unfortunate thing is, I wish I could break this into 2 different parts. So there's the Axe build, and there's also the traditional Dawnblade build. Some people have suggested running a Switch build, which is honestly kind of interesting. I would actually like to see what that list looks like and see it be played. I would imagine you'd play the Dawnblade specifically into Dromai, and that seems like a really cool thing. I don't know how consistent that kind of build is, but I would be interested in seeing it. I would. But as far as both builds go, I think both of them are at a similar power level. I can see the Axe build probably doing a little bit better, just because even still, it's probably still not a known quantity to enough players, even though there's no reason that most people competing at a nationals level don't know the deck exists. It is just a worse Oldhim by almost every stretch. It is just another deck trying to swing for 4 and block a bunch. Now, Dorinthia does have a bunch of pivot turns with things like Red Fell Swing and then Swing for 10. And obviously, the weapon is amazing. Now, I've heard of players say it's the best weapon in the game. That's not true. Stop losing to it, Bravo player at my locals who knows who I'm talking to. I'm looking at you right now. Just play better. But yeah, the weapon is obviously very good, but like this build can be very exploited. Especially the more it's being forced to block, the less it actually does. Even though it appears on the surface level, they can just block for 9, swing a axe, and eventually just the game will be grinded down. Yeah, you're not Oldhim. You don't have Crown of Seeds and Rampart and all that. Yes, you have a similar shell to Bravo when it comes to the equipment, but you lack the disruption that Bravo can bring. You lack this the sheer what the turns that Levy has, who also has a similar amount of armor. You're just okay. I think the deck is absolutely fun. Same with the Dawnblade, but I think they're both extremely fun. But they're not really accomplishing a goal that another deck can't. Unless you're specifically Dawnblade into Dromai. And even still, I think that matchup is just like... I don't even think that matchup is as bad as people say it is from the Dromai side. Like, for the Dromai and the Dromai, I think the Dromai definitely can get games. Just because of how fundamentally powerful the deck is. I don't think that Dawnblade's just going to have 17 counters and then they're just going to swing at you and there's nothing you can do. I don't think the matchup's like that. The matchup can get very disgusting because, like, Dawnblade will probably just have, like, 7 counters and you're just like, wow, my life sucks. But if you get that hand where you can block and they get the hand that they can't pump enough, because if you've been on the Dorinthia side, you know that there are just times where you can swing for 20, your opponent can block for 20, you can't swing for 21. It happens. It happens a non-zero amount of times. So, yeah. With that all being said, I think you probably need to be a one trick to play it. I don't see the value of you not playing it, like, let's say at all, and then you just not picking it up and trying to play it in ads. I just, no. Uzuri is so interesting. I think Uzuri's mid. I think Uzuri definitely has a lot of really, really solid matchups. I do think one matchup that I'm glad the brief time that everyone was saying this, it got quickly put to rest. Everyone was saying, "Oh my gosh, Uzuri has an amazing drawing matchup," but I'm sitting there going like, where? What drawing matchup? It's Irish drawing, maybe. But yeah, now everyone's quickly understanding like, no, like, Uzuri is, it's bad. It's a miserable time for the Uzuri player. I think Uzuri is like probably one of the better mid-range decks. It has like similar to the Dorinthia effect that you're trying to make your opponent wrong every single turn. Like, I go, here's an isolate for 3 dominate. What are you going to do about it? You're going to give me like a direct from your arsenal and a card from hand. You're just going to give me the direct from arsenal. You just going to not going to block it at all? What you want to do? Oh, you chose not to block it? Oh. Okay. Alright, I'm going to crack my boost, give it go again. Alright, here's another one. You going to block this one for 3? Activate Uzuri. Command and Conquer. You can just have play patterns like that. One of the matchups, I've actually gotten to play against a lot of Uzuri lately because I've been on Icelander. And I cannot tell you, even though I have not lost a game to Uzuri as Icelander, it has probably been one of the most frustrating matchups I've ever seen. For some reason, I've won every game, and I've only had my arsenal. Like, let's say the game lasts 10 turns. I've only had an arsenal for like 4. Because they're constantly like, yep, here's an inertia. Here's a leaving a witness. Yep, you don't get to have an arsenal at any point. And I'm just like, wow, so the whole reason I'm playing my hero is just dog. It's just gone. Nice. Amazing. I still won those games. Still couldn't tell you how. But I think Uzuri has a lot of disruption. Now I think against decks that aren't broken like Wizard, like, and you just deny them an arsenal for the majority of the game, and that's just a lot of effective card economy gone. I think you can do pretty good. I think you can definitely do pretty good. Last with Rhinar. I gotta resist. Is he mid? Is he mid? Is he mid? Is he mid? I think he's mid. I just think the interaction of preventing your opponent from interacting with you is pretty powerful. He obviously has a lot of those broken turns where you're just like, oh wow, so he intimidated 3 cards, and he left him with this 2 block in hand. Oh, he's swinging for 17? Wow, that's tough. I guess I'll block 2 and take 15. It is the unfortunate part that, like, for the most part, Reinhardt is just damage, and he has no actual utility. Now, if he had actual utility, then he'd probably be broken. Like, imagine if he had, like, actual one hits, like, besides just damage, like, Reinhardt probably just LO within, like, 5 seconds. Gonna be honest. But, Reinhardt's still solid. I mean, I can definitely see someone having success with Reinhardt. But, better, you know what? Better than Arachne and Riptide and Viscerai people. Hey, Charles, I know you're watching this video. Hey, this is for you. Alright guys, if you guys enjoyed this tier list, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment down below what you guys think. You guys think I got it right? Whenever I never really get like everything correct, like, just make sure you guys remember this video when you guys like see, oh wow, so Vesper won like 0 nats and like Lexi Nassar won like 79. Dude, that's crazy. But it's been your boy Cypher from TCG. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.